Sienna, are we recording?
Recording in progress.
Okay, I'll call the Fortuna City Council meeting for Monday, December 18th to order. Please join me for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conley?
Present.
Councilmember Losi?
Here.
Councilmember Mobley?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Here.
Mayor Trent?
Here. Okay, it's time for oral comments from the public. Anybody in the public have anything to say that's not on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll close oral comments. We'll move to the consent calendar. We have city council minutes, all of our department reports, review and approval of the mayor's recommendation for appointees for the Fortuna Business Improvement District, approve amend part-time classification pay scale, authorize city manager to negotiate and execute a contract with People of New Directions, and accept and approve the FY 2023 COPS grant. There's one update on that, and that is for item number L for new people. The first information that was sent out was not updated, the new pay scale and year, so that's been corrected. Anybody want to pull anything?
I'd like to pull item F.
Okay.
And item C, please.
Okay, item F and C. Okay, go ahead with C.
On the Community Development Department report, I'm really glad, I'm looking at page 3 of 6, but I'm really glad that, sorry, just had to turn on the microphone. I'm really glad that we have the OpenGov permit portal that has been in effect now. And it says until or as of November 30th, but I think it's actually before that it took effect, but also listing 158 building permits that have been issued through the online portal. And I think I don't know if I don't think that's correct, but maybe I can get a update on that.
You know, that probably is correct, 158 building permits, and that's as of November 30th. So most of our customers have been using that, and had pretty good success. And then I will also say that we've added a few other things on there more recently. We have our master planning application, which covers everything, conditional use permits, subdivisions, zoning ordinance, zoning changes. So we have a master planning application, and we received our first 2 planning applications on that last week. And so that's going well too. And we also added encroachment permits and alcohol beverage control daily license permits. So when somebody wants, for example, when somebody wants to rent the River Lodge, they have to fill out a form. And, you know, encroachment permits, alcohol beverage permits, those would come in and somebody would bring a paper form in, and then we'd have to send it around and get PDF copies. And so now all that's online. We can approve them online, and they can just download a copy and pay their fees online. So it's a lot quicker, and it saves a lot of staff time. So we have a lot of capabilities that we built in OpenGov, and there's still some more opportunities that we're going to be looking at in the future.
Okay.
And the 158, Mike, is not necessarily new build? Because we
No,
get them for repairs.
and solar and all of that. So this is as of not last November, but this November.
This November. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're including a lot of those permits that don't show up in the community development report.
Yeah, a lot of them are mechanical, electrical, plumbing,
Okay,
roofing permits, things like that.
okay, thank you. That's all.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate Officer Gear for his Employee of the Quarter and Sergeant Cato for his Officer of the Year. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to after reading this report and seeing all of the things that our staff have accomplished in the last couple of months, they're busy. The admin report up to 30 requests a day on general information, and luckily with the online portal, a dozen solar permits in 1 month, and they talk about the new ordinance so that it streamlines the permitting process as well as the online. I mean, it's the police department, up to 60 arrests a month, 14 felony arrests. So I just wanted to say that the staff deserves a lot of credit for what happens. They're the face that the public sees and the ones getting the job done. So I appreciate it.
Councilmember Johnson, if I could just add, Katie Schmidt in our community development department, she's really been the one who has kind of been managing the Open Gov rollout with help from a lot of others, but I just want to mention that Katie deserves a lot of credit for keeping that going. And when we released our master planning application, we had a couple of glitches, and she fixes those things right away. So we had a couple when we launched, and it immediately got those fixed. So I just want to mention that she deserves some of the credit for that too, or a lot of the credit.
Thank you.
It just saves an immense amount of time for contractors and, everybody who's going to use that portal. So, excellent job.
Okay, and I just want to thank Fred Robinson for being here and wanting to renew his application for Fortuna Business Improvement. Thank you. So do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And moving on to city council business. And our first, let me get there here. Introduction and first reading of ordinance 2024-765, amending chapter 8.16 of the Fortuna Municipal Code in, word's all blurred out, for revised nuisance regulation and abatement. Staff report.
Thank you, Mayor Trent. Our city attorney, Ryan Plotz, is here, and he's going to present this one and really help to put the staff report together and put some needed updates into this draft for the update of the city's municipal code.
Yeah, thanks, Merritt, and it's good to be back and see you all. Before you tonight is a ordinance that would completely revise the city's existing property nuisance abatement and regulations. The ordinance is really intended to modernize our nuisance abatements procedures. The last time the ordinance was updated, from what I can tell, was 1990. And so there's some needed updates to comport with best practices and some new tools that are available in the law. So the ordinance does three principal things. Number one, it revises the definition of what is a public nuisance. Our existing regulations were a little too specific with particular types and conditions of properties. The revised ordinance ties it more to standards that are found elsewhere in the code. So violations of our building standards, violations of the municipal code in general can be declared a public nuisance. It also regulates conduct nuisances that are separate from property, as you'll see in the definitional section that's included in the staff report. The next thing it does is it allows the city to pursue summary abatement. That's a tool that the city didn't have in its existing nuisance regulations, and summary abatement is rare, but when it's necessary, it's good to have. It allows the city to essentially abate first and notice second, excuse me, for conditions that pose a danger to health or safety. It will be used sparingly, but when situations arise, it's good to have at our disposal. And then lastly, the nuisance ordinance introduces fines for violations of a final order to abate. And so as the process moves forward, it usually starts with the code compliance officer who will send a 15-day notice to cure. Then there will be a hearing before the city manager, at which time the code compliance officer will demonstrate that a nuisance exists through sworn testimony. And if there's no appeal to the city council, the city manager's order to abate would be a final order. If there's an appeal to the city council, then the city council's resolution finding a nuisance and ordering the abatement of the nuisance would be final. And so any day beyond the period given in the final notice to abate would constitute a separate violation and would be subject to fines. And that's intended to give the Code Compliance Department a little bit more leverage to avoid the city having to go in and abate the condition themselves. I've also updated the cost collection mechanisms to be more in line with what the government code provides, but it's ultimately the same thing. If the city has to go in and abate, all the costs of abatement, including administrative and the actual underlying work, can be assessed against the property as a lien, which can be either foreclosed or added to the tax roll. And so other than that, the process for nuisance abatement remains largely the same. As I explained, it's a two-part process that starts with a notice and then a hearing before the city manager with the right to appeal to the city council, which is in line with what most cities do. And I'm happy to address any questions.
Any questions from council?
I do.
Sure.
Thank you, Ryan.
Sure.
I really like to see this update. It's probably a long time in coming. And in making it more general, I think it'll cover more of the areas that we might experience, and have experienced. Under the unlawful nuisance on public property section, it's 8.16.040, where it shall be unlawful for any property owner to maintain or allow to be maintained property for any purposes to create any of the following conditions on adjacent or contiguous public property. So in the past, we've had people, a person that I'm thinking of in particular, who allowed their property, and it was not public access per se, but allowed the property to be, and maybe it wouldn't fall under this particular section, but allowed the property to become under disrepair and an attractive nuisance, basically for homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
So not necessarily this section, but that would be covered within this ordinance.
Yes, there's both a visual blight section and then there's a specific attractive nuisance section. But that would also fall under, the general definitional sections about allowing property to fall into disrepair.
Okay.
And if it's public property, we can use 816.040. If it's private property, we use, the 030, which is private property.
Okay, and under D with this section, what would be a condition or use that would fall into this particular section? In other words, I'm thinking, is there something that the police can use to move some of the homeless people along here on Main Street, and would that particular issue fall under this section?
It would. We also have the more specific camping ordinance, and loitering on public property. This is typically going to be things for which an encroachment permit was not obtained. Street or sidewalk vendors, an unlawful gathering without a permit on sidewalks or public property. That's generally what you're going to see this used for. But ultimately, with respect to, people, lying, sitting on Main Street that causes us obstruction, we're going to use the more specific ordinance for that.
I was interested in that because this doesn't give that time frame that we have to be in compliance with. But it doesn't sound like this would be in that kind of a situation
Sure.
anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
As someone who's done this before, A previous attorney had told me one time that you don't have to wait the full 15 days if it's like a repeat habitual offender, that, 3 days. Or now with the summary abatement, is that something that you could use?
It's up to 15 days, but whatever's reasonable under the circumstances. So if it's something that can be abated or needs to be abated in a day, and it's reasonable for the property owner to comply with that, that's a decision the code compliance officer can make in the initial notice.
Okay, because this was just someone who was a frequent habitual collector of various and sundry things.
Sure.
So,
Yep, we have that option.
thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from council?
Okay, we'll open public comment. Does anybody have a comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment.
I'll make a motion to introduce and conduct a first reading of ordinance number 2024-765, read by title only.
I'll second that.
And you need to add and continue to the last line on there?
At all of it, yes.
Okay, does that have to be read?
January 16th.
Yeah.
Continue to January
Okay.
6th.
Okay, we have a first and second. Roll call, please.
Ordinance 2024-765, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fortuna, amending Chapter 8.16 of the Fortuna Municipal Code to provide for revised nuisance regulation and abatement, and determining the ordinance to be exempt from CEQA. Councilmember Conley?
Aye.
Councilmember Losi?
Yes.
Councilmember Mobley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Trent?
Yes. Okay, our next item of business is introduction and first reading of ordinance 2024-766, adding chapter 9.05 to Article 9 of the Fortuna Municipal Code to adopt social host regulations. Staff report, please.
Yeah, Mayor Trent, and our city attorney also prepared this at the request of our police chief. So Chief Day and our city attorney Ryan Plotz are available to provide the staff report and answer questions.
Excuse me, I'm happy to start. This ordinance is an ordinance that is being adopted by more and more cities to help control loud and unruly gatherings where alcohol is allowed to be served to minors. And it provides penalties that local jurisdictions can enforce outside the criminal context to deal with those types of situations through the administrative citation process, which allows the city to impose fines. It also allows the city to collect the cost of emergency services and public services to calls at loud parties if that particular residence has been warned once in the last 6 months and there's a subsequent party. So it allows the city to collect those public service costs. And with that, I'm happy to turn it over to Chief Day.
Thank you, Ryan. So essentially, the social host ordinance is an ordinance that I was familiar with from my previous jurisdiction, and essentially we want a mechanism within the city to hold people responsible and deter the provisions of alcohol to minors or prevent underage drinking that is being facilitated within a home or a domicile by a person that is 18 years or older. So what we're trying to do is prevent the catastrophes that come along with underage drinking and provide a mechanism where, again, we can deter that activity in the city. And so I think it's important that we have this ordinance in place so that the police department can proactively address any underage drinking issues that are occurring and being facilitated by an adult. And then I'm available for any questions.
Any questions from council?
No question, just a comment. I'm really glad again to see this kind of an ordinance come about. I think I mentioned asking about that some time back. I know that the city of Arcata has had an ordinance very similar to this for a long time, and I actually witnessed it in action quite a few years ago before I retired. And what it really does is, even though minors aren't being served or drinking alcohol, it makes the owner or person responsible of the property stand up and take notice when the officers tell them we come back here, you are going to be fined. You, as the property owner or person responsible for the property, you can be subject to a very stiff penalty, meaning cash money. So it's I think it's a step in the right direction, and certainly, hopefully, will curb those people who allow juveniles, or I should say minors, to drink alcohol on their premises.
Any other questions or comments from Sound? Okay, I'll open public hearing.
I don't have a dog in this fight, but I'm hearing two different ages as to when people can drink, 18 or 21. Which is it?
If I may, through the council. So anybody 18 years old or older can be held responsible for facilitating a party, if you will. And so what we're trying to avoid, whether you're 18 or above, is underage drinking. And of course, the legal age for drinking remains 21 years old. But so let's say, you're an 18-year-old with an apartment and you are providing alcohol to other minors or allowing them to gather in your apartment house, your trailer, domicile, whatever it is, and allowing them to drink. That's what we're trying to prevent or deter.
Okay, thanks.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do we have a motion or any more questions?
I'll make a motion to introduce and conduct the first reading of ordinance 2024-766 and read by title only, and continue the public hearing to January 16, 2024 to conduct the second reading.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Ordinance 2024-766, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fortuna, adding Chapter 9.05 to Article 9 of the Fortuna Municipal Code to adopt social host regulations and determining the ordinance to be exempt from CEQA. Councilmember Conley?
Aye.
Councilmember Losi?
Yes.
Councilmember Mobley?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Trent?
Yes. Our next item is a discussion item for police chief training at the Federal Bureau of Investigations National Academy.
Thank you, Mayor Trent. Before we hand this over to Chief Day, I just want to say that, this National Academy training really represents kind of a unique opportunity and one that the chief should be really honored to even be invited to. And so the chief and I have talked quite a bit about this and the benefits of it, and we really wanted to bring this to council to be able to have that discussion. And what we're looking for here is not a vote, but really direction to staff to proceed. And really one of the bigger costs is the chief is going to be gone for, it's not really a monetary cost, but the chief would be gone for the next 36 days, starting January 5th.
It's like 67 days.
67 days. So he would be gone from January 5th through towards the end of March.
March 14th.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, the chief has gone to a number of the post trainings and been already all the way through those, and this would really represent the highest level of training available to chief law enforcement executives. And again, I support the chief going, and we really wanted to be able to have this discussion with council, and we're looking for direction to staff to proceed with having the chief attend this academy. So with that, I'll hand it over to Chief Day.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Trent and council. I just to add a few things, this will really be the capstone of training for my executive career. It's just an honor to have been nominated and selected for the 289th class there in Quantico. It is something that I think will be, extremely valuable for the city as far as, spending the time with 200 plus other executives from across the country and looking at, some of the cutting edge techniques and things that the FBI is offering through their training curriculum. There is also a big focus on physical fitness. Their physical fitness program is quite extreme. I'm not getting any younger. So I got 25 years law enforcement on my knees, ankles, and back, and another 8 years of Marine Corps service. So if I'm going to go, I'd like to do so, within the next year and kind of get this behind me and over with. And but again, it's an honor to be selected for it. And I think that, having the opportunity not only to share my experience and my education and knowledge with other executives throughout the country, but hearing from them as well will give me a perspective that is unique and expansive for the Fortuna Police Department. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council?
Yeah.
I'm curious, is this nationwide or is it by sections of states, specific states?
It's a great question. So every area field office has a set amount of nominees. And so it covers the CONUS, the full continental United States, plus Alaska and Hawaii. And usually in every class, there are 20 to 30 foreign students that come from our allied countries. So England, France, Dominican Republic is just a few examples of students that may attend with the state and local executives that attend from our country.
And there are only 200 chosen?
So for every class, there is between 200 and 250 thereabout. I think my last count, because they've already started a chat thread on the cell phone, but it looks to be about 230.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Just a comment. First off, congratulations for being selected. It is quite an opportunity, and I know although I've never attended myself, but I know it's mentally and physically very challenging, and I know you're going to do an amazing job there. And it's just a great opportunity for you as well as for the city of Fortuna. So you will make us proud, I have no doubt.
Now, thank you very much, Councilman Lusty.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, I suspect that just as much as your Marine Corps training, that this will guide your future decisions and leadership and planning for the department. And we have had a prior chief be able to go, and I suspect that you will come back with a ton of training ideas, and you're blessed with a command staff under you that can step in and steer the ship while you're gone and maintain contact with you also.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to that point, Mayor Pro Tem, the rest of the council, we've worked very hard over the last, this is going to be 4-year anniversary for me coming up in July. And I couldn't be happier and prouder with where we are as an organization. I've used that 4 years to focus on the leadership and management ability of our command staff. I have every confidence and no doubt whatsoever that the continuity of operations will be sustained. My plan is to also offer remote office hours throughout the week. Being 3 hours ahead, I feel like that is something that is attainable. And so just keeping in contact and making myself available not only to the internal department stakeholders, but also the other department heads and the city manager, the council, or whoever needs me. I'll have time for that.
Well, thank you.
Any other? Nope. Well, congratulations on getting accepted to this. My son-in-law will also be there at the same academy, and he's an under chief in Idaho.
Yes.
So I thought that was pretty interesting that you're both going to be in the same academy.
Well, we have planned to have dinner the first night we arrive, so.
Okay.
Together, right?
Yes. That is the plan.
Okay. Did you want?
No, I'll just say that, the other thing I talked to Chief about, we are, expecting to finish up the construction of the new police facility project. And I know that we have Lieutenant Eberhardt, and then Chief has also assigned Sergeant Finney to follow through with the IT. A lot of the communications change over for dispatch and other things. So we have Sergeant Finney and Sergeant Cadle who are going to work on that. My first question was, what if we're ready to move at the end of March? But in all likelihood, that move will happen after the chief gets back. But we've got a good team in place that's working on that. And so we have good coverage, so.
It's nice to have a department that you can leave for this long and totally trust the department, leadership that we have in there. Thank you. Is that it for this item?
Public comment?
Oh, sorry. Do we have any public comment on?
Lieutenant Matt Eberhart. When the chief came, one of his big things was we had some very in-depth discussions, and he talked a lot about development of our people. And I think it's important for me to get up here tonight and let, the community may be looking at this as the development for the chief. This is the development for the department. And the chief has invested a lot of effort in our management team. He's the first chief that I've ever worked for in my almost 26 years here, that's ever assigned me book reports. And I've been mentored more in the last 4 years than I have my entire career. We all have. We put a focus on sending sergeants to executive management training. He's always looking at developing our people. Like I said, we continually do leadership studies and stay in contact. And I think this is a very good opportunity for him to go get some information. And I have no doubt that he's going to come back with some very valuable things that will help this department in the future.
So be prepared when he comes back. You're going to have a lot more work.
I am not looking forward to the next book report, yes.
More book report.
Yes.
Any other comments? We will close public comment. So, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor Trent. So just a few items. We have a couple meetings canceled, so our plan to be canceled. So I'm going to run through that upcoming meeting schedule. Our January 2nd council meeting is planned to be canceled. So our next regularly scheduled council meeting will be on January 16th. And again, that's a Tuesday, not a Monday, due to the observance of the Martin Luther King holiday. Our next planning commission meeting was planned to be on December 26th. That's also canceled. And our next regularly scheduled planning commission meeting will be on January 9th. Our December 19th Measure E meeting was also canceled. And so we'll have our next regularly scheduled Measure E meeting on January 17th. And then our next Roner Community Recreation and Park District meeting will be on January 3rd. And the next Fortuna Business Improvement District meeting will be on December 26th, which will also be canceled. So that will push that to the next meeting in January. So I don't know if you got that or not yet. Just a few things for my verbal report. Last week, the city clerk and I were at the city's risk pool training, the Sierra training. They had an academy and a board meeting, and so there were a number of topics covered, including cybersecurity, a review of the actuarial reports for the various types of coverage that are provided to the city, a review of the investment policy, professional services agreements with various entities that provide services to Sierra, strategic planning, really looking at what the goals are of the risk pool and how they identify what their priorities are for the future. And then another portion, which was a separate meeting, but attached to it, was the wind down of the former city's risk pool, the REMIF risk pool. So there's still a number of claims that are working their way through the system. And so they're really trying to accelerate, instead of having the former business of REMIF, which was the city's risk pool, and PARSAC, which was the other risk pool, which were merged together to form Sierra, really just the process of winding down and looking at those claims and what those liabilities are and how can we more quickly get to the point where it's just one and we're not tracking old business from two entities, but just the new business from one entity. So it's pretty interesting to see how that's happening. And then let's see, one of the really interesting parts of that was they had a number of presenters at the academy, and one of the big topics was cybersecurity. It was interesting to hear from other cities who are members who have had instances where their city's been compromised and they've lost their ability to function due to cyber attacks. And so it's one of the things that Sion and I are going to be looking at in the future is really how can we continue to be resilient and avoid those types of incidences. And really what it's it's really a matter of it's a matter of when, not if. So it's very likely to happen to most public agencies. And so we're going to be looking at how can we continue to have that resilience with the city moving forward. So And then a couple of other things. One, we've had a lot of activity. We had a very qualified applicant for community development director, and so we conducted one interview and then had another visit with that potential candidate. And so that's an item that we have on closed session tonight, is for a community development director. And then I will say that we're continuing to work on the franchise agreement. I've been working with our consultants at CSG to finalize that draft. We have some meetings with Recology, and we hope to be able to bring something to council soon for review. And that's all I have for my report.
Thank you. Okay, any council member have anything they want to consider for future agenda item? No? Okay, we'll move to city council reports. Councilmember Conley?
No, thank you. We had a REDAC meeting last month, approved a couple loans. We are supposed to meet next Monday, and as the executive director's assistant said, you can be there, but I will not. So we will be canceled, being on Christmas. Other than that, enjoyed the Al Gray Parade and the downtown festivities on Friday, and enjoyed that, but that's it.
Okay, Councilmember Losi?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. On December 6th, both Merritt and I attended the Roanoke Community Recreation and Park District Board meeting. He actually did the reporting on it. And we had a engineer's update report on that, primarily the financial end of how things are going with the proposed swimming pool, or no, it's not swimming pool.
Wellness Center.
Yes. Have to be careful, apparently. And we had a discussion about potential opportunities and challenges for alternative revenue sources, and a discussion of consideration of the annexation process. So I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, and for you and your family, and just that my wish is that Christmas is an exciting time for you and your family. So Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Mike. Councilmember Mobley?
I don't have anything to report, but I did want to comment that I was very excited to see color go on the new police station and the sign go up. It looks really good.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Well, it's been a busy couple of weeks around here too. So I also was at the Roanoke Community Recreation and Park District meeting, touching on the Wellness Center, and then a week later, the Wellness Center Advisory Group had their meeting where the information was disseminated regarding the engineer's report and planning, Colette, when her planning and what the, what would you want to call it, assessment districts, and I'm getting that rolling. So that was an exciting thing to see, that also what the McLean Foundation is going to offer up and help along with to get it started. So that was good. I also attended the FBID and the downtown and Al Gray lighted parade. And that was a great thing, especially the fire pits in the middle of the road, what was happening there in the street, keeping everybody warm. And they had somebody assigned to watch them, so it was all fire safe, chief. And then the CCC Christmas party. The CCCs do a lot of work around town, helping with special events and brush clearing, trail work, all the way up and down the coast and into the national forest. So they do a lot of work, and this was an opportunity to give something back to them, and it was a great time. Had a meeting with the Caltrans district engineers and locals meeting for North State, and got some information on some things. The last chance grade is open, and then we had that slide, so it was like, oh great, here we go again. But they actually took and rope walked the slide and inspected it, and it's back open, and they don't expect any more problems, but just in case. They have a emergency repair contract in place, some equipment ready, and the contractor's ready. So we'll be ready for whatever. And when it comes down, we come down here to Fern Bridge. The pier work is done for the year, so that's getting put away. There are stakeholder meetings coming in February or March for what a replacement bridge would look like and how it would be oriented. And they're actually working on a project initiation document to get things rolling. And there are seismic gates planned for the bridge, because there are some people in Ferndale that are not quite sure that they want to be driving on it after an earthquake until it's been inspected. So this would put that in place. And there was discussion regarding a new grant called Protect, and using that to upgrade Blue Slide Road, because that would be the alternative to get in and out of Ferndale if the bridge did have to be closed. So we look forward to something moving on that soon. The Eureka Arcata corridor, we've all driven through there and seen that, and it's inconvenient right now, especially the 40-mile-an-hour S-turn through there. But the work is progressing, and so is the Bay Trail. The bad news is Clean California is sunsetting. The Cycle 1 grants are going out to bid, and do we have a Cycle 2 grant, or did that ever come through?
We're not sure that we not through the cycle where we had to do an application, but through Caltrans money that they have to use for various projects. So it's not specifically for the grant that we actually didn't submit a grant. We started to prepare one, but we will see.
Okay. Well, we may have something coming along in there, but Clean California is sunsetting. But one thing that was interesting is that 16% of the funding for the entire Clean California program was dispersed in Caltrans District 1, which we don't usually see that good of a return. So, and the Hunter Creek Bridge up there by the Requa turnoff and just in Klamath, that's slated now to be completed by April of '24. They got the last parts. They had during COVID, I guess the contractor that had the cable hangers for the bridge went out of business, and they had to respec it and start all over again, and they got the parts in, and maybe by the end of, well, no, not with rain, but maybe by the end of next week, the bridge portion, that will be completed, both sides, and they'll start working on the pedestrian portion. And one bittersweet moment coming this Thursday is that the longtime fiscal officer for the Humboldt County Association of Governments, Debbie Yeager, is retiring. It'll be her last day at work this coming Thursday. For some of us, Merritt, Sienna, myself, Brendan, we've worked closely with her for a while, and it's going to be different not having her there. But she's been training her replacement, and who's doing a good, fantastic job learning. And so we hope the continuity slides right through there and we continue on. And I wish Debbie the best in her retirement. And that's all I have to report right now.
Thank you. That was a lot.
I don't usually talk that much.
The truckers parade that we had, was it last Friday? Friday before. Downtown was the best one we've ever had. It was 32, I think, floats this year. It started downtown. I want to thank Morgan the director of FBID. She did an excellent job putting this together, and it turned out great. And then also, I had the opportunity to be able to work with Chief for Shop with a Cop, which is a program that the police officers take a child from our community into Target and let them shop in there. They have $100 to buy something for themselves if they want, or their family, whatever they want to get for that amount. So it was pretty exciting. It was crazy in Target. Everybody met down at the Adorney Center, and there was, I swear it was a mile-long parade of fire trucks, police cars, and everybody with their lights and sirens headed to Target with our children in the back. And it was really fun to be able to be involved in that. What did we have, 17 kids from our area? 15 kids from our area. And all of that was possible from our local businesses. They're the ones that sponsored that and paid for that. And so we really need to appreciate our local business and shop local. They're the ones that support us. And that's all I have on my report. And now we have a closed session coming up. Public employment, pursuit section 54957 of the California Government Code titled Community Developer. So do we have a motion to move to closed session? Do we have public comment? Anybody public comment on the closed session? Okay, seeing none.
Motion to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.